I was very affected by the following interview that I had with Denise Gamble of Merit Construction Association of Saskatchewan. The main reason I was affected is because the topic with my podcasts is typically communication and safety. And it goes into a lot of different realms. And the other day when we were talking, it actually went into the realm of mental health. And I was made aware of some stats that I had no clue of in terms of construction and suicide and mental health. And it hits near and dear to my heart. And I hope you enjoy it. Denise is a heartfelt leader in Saskatchewan who cares about people. And she is really working to provide services for companies in Saskatchewan because of a need that's growing. And that need is issues with mental health, whether it's depression all the way to suicide. All of it is a safety issue. And this really does fall into the overwhelming arch of we need to be there for each other. There's reasons that this is very personal to me, and I'll shoot a separate video for that. But suffice to say, we've all been there. So if you've been there, if you've been in trouble, if you've had mental health issues in terms of depression, suicidal thoughts, it's nothing to be ashamed of. We all got to talk to each other and take care of each other. Look out for your brothers and sisters and enjoy the podcast. Denise Gamble, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm looking forward to our chat.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun every time we've chatted so far. So now we're just going to record it and see what happens.
Maybe don't keep the evidence.
That's right. Well, maybe it won't be exactly the same, right? So the Bridge podcast, as you know, is a podcast that really is focused on bridging the communication gap between leadership and the field. And through the process of this, what I've done is I've just started talking to people about their work, usually involved in construction or safety. And obviously, we met through a safety event, and that was wonderful. And we had a lot of nice chats about kind of how you started and where you are. So, can you talk to me about your company? Talk to me about Merit, and talk to me about your position there and kind of how you got started.
So I am the president of Merit Saskatchewan, and Merit Saskatchewan is an open shop association. We have partners all across Canada. There's a Merit Nova Scotia, and there's a Merit Ontario, and Manitoba, Alberta, and BC, and of course, the best ones here.
Yes.
And I've been with Merit for 3 years now. We just really try and focus on the needs of open shop contractors in the province and bringing, different resources to them that can help with their businesses. Okay.
And what inspired you to get, so obviously you've been with them for 3 years, and we met and it was a safety event, and we really, what an event, number one, because you guys, cool. There was no doors closed in that event. It was just, there was a lot of people doing a lot of things, all sorts of stuff happening all at the same time. Why do you put so much effort into safety?
So, we're a little different in the regards of we're not a straight site safety company or association, right? Our big focus through our open shop association in regards to safety is, we want everybody to go home at the end of the day, but it's the wellness portion, the mental wellness portion that we really work on and strive to bring to the forefront.
What kind of opportunities do you actually allow for your the companies that are involved with you with regards to mental health?
So we offer a variety of different programs, and one of them is our Work Well program. It's a free resource for every company that's a part of Merit. Every month is a different rolling topic regarding mental health and mental wellness in the construction industry. There's toolbox talks, there's job site posters, and it can be anything from suicide awareness to cancer are some of the different topics. Every month during the year rolls out on a different topic. Sorry, I'm just flipping through this page.
Well, you offer a lot of resources. That's wonderful. Have you noticed an increase since you've started, really? Because you started, it's been 3 years. It's really been, like kind of you were in the midst of the pandemic when you started there. Is that right?
Yeah, I just kind of came on after it was over. I mean, I've always been around construction and the trades in one way, shape, or form. I mean, I grew up as an ironworker's kid, so I know, what that industry is about. And even just since the pandemic, and every year, so we get stats on the mental health services and usages on our different programs. From last year at this time to the year previous, the usage on our mental health services is up 53%. Um,
Wow.
so, right?
Yeah.
That means the talking about it is worth it. That's 53% more people that didn't use the program or didn't feel comfortable approaching the situation or the topic previously that are willing to now. Um, in the construction industry, I mean, there's some disturbing stats, right? Like 82% of construction workers don't feel comfortable talking about it. Construction has 7 times higher suicide rates than any other industry. That's too much.
Is that a Saskatchewan stat, or is that a Canada
No.
stat, or is
It's from the Lancet Medical Journal. So the risk of suicide in the construction industry is 7 times the national average. 7 times.
that's insane? So now, when you're talking about you've had a 50% increase, would you attribute that to um, more issues or people being more aware of the program, or a combination of both? Or like, what have you seen when you're talking to people in the field?
I feel like it's definitely a combination of everything, right? Everybody is, across industries, across Canada, across everywhere, has really started to realize that we need to talk about it, right? And that people need to be aware that it's okay to not always be okay. And so for the mental health services and the usage and, the increase in people, it's a combination. It's a combination of the companies that are realizing that they need to get out of the truck and talk to the guys. You don't always have to have a conversation about it being mental health, but just bridging that gap, right? Like we had talked about, and making sure that people know that they can come to them for anything, right? And then promoting the services that are available and using them, right? Like companies are really starting to, which I love, companies are really starting to become aware of the need for it. And they're promoting it to their teams and making sure that they know that there is a plethora of resources available.
It's really interesting because my opinion would be that there's more mental health issues, and I think there's probably stats to back this up. I haven't got any, but there's more mental health issues now too. But it's nice to know that companies are starting to, just with everything, with the pandemic and we don't have to get into the details of it because we don't want to get depressed either. But
Yeah, exactly.
all of the things that have happened, I think it's nice to know that there is resources. What common misconceptions or mistakes would you say people are making in the construction industry when it comes to this topic?
One of the biggest hurdles when dealing with mental health, and I mean, it's in any industry, but in ours especially, is still the belief that there is such a stigma around it, in construction, especially. 82% of construction workers still believe there's a stigma around it. And that brings with it the reluctance to ask for help. In the past, there's been so many negative and skeptical views about the reality of mental health challenges, but we need to move away from that. And part of the reason is, it's a very male dominated sector, right? Gone are the days where you just suck it up and put your boots on and go to work. That people need to ensure that they are connecting with everyone at work. They need to break that stigma. And that's really something that our Work Well program and, our push to use our employee family assistance program resources that are available for everyone. And, all of those resources that companies have available for their team, just to work with those and make sure that the resources are out there for everyone.
That's awesome. And that is, I think that's huge. Just an aside, the mental health side and the addiction side of things, coming out of football, I've lost a number of friends to not only suicide, but just addiction problems who, through it is just coming out of that arena and trying to get into another one or trying to sort it out. And I will say, I think it has changed. I think that men are starting to talk, but I still think people hide it, and I know that it is hard to tell people when you're sad about something, when you're depressed about something. It's a very difficult thing for people to do.
For
So
sure, right?
I think it's a great resource. I'm really happy that you've got it. That's for sure. Is there anything that you can think of that we need more of in the industry to help with this growing challenge?
Access to services.
Okay. Expand.
And I mean, this is a problem across, especially in regards to addiction services, right? Like, in 2018, and I know this stat is a few years old now, but in 2018, Saskatchewan had the third highest opioid death rate amongst all provinces.
Yeah.
And here in Saskatchewan, I mean, we're a small population, right, compared to many other provinces, but our addiction problems here are exorbitant. And there is not enough resources, professional resources, that people can access. There's not enough detox centers. It's the first hurdle is that asking for help, right? But then once you ask for help, if there's nobody available to help you, what do you do, right? Where do you send these people? I mean,
and how many times will you ask? Right? It's hard enough asking once, but if you ask and there's nothing for you, then that's just another check mark in the box, right? Okay, well, that's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you feel like that should be a provincial thing? Do you feel like that should be more services and in like businesses offering services?
A provincial and a national, right? Like, I mean, I have a counterpart in Manitoba, same problem. We had a conversation last week. She's like, we're trying to figure out what to add, to be able to help people, but there's just not enough places and professional resources that are available. It's a problem across Canada.
Thank you for that. Hopefully we can get some people thinking about it.
Yeah.
What do you need to see less of in the industry?
Not so much the less of side, but what can we do better and what can we do more of? Just keep talking about it, right? Keep talking about it. Get out, have coffee in the job shack with everybody. It doesn't have to be a conversation about a deep, dark, horrible event that took place the night before, or you're fighting with your spouse, or your kids are driving you nuts. Like, talk about the freaking weather, but just have a conversation, because opening those lines of communication right from the very beginning, when there is something wrong, then people are going to come to you, right? Because you've become a person to them. So just keep doing more of that.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. That's great advice. Okay. So I got a couple personal ones now.
Okay.
What rules do you have that you would like to pass on to the next generation in terms of, and it can be about this, and it can be about success, and it can be about, health, mental health, whatever. What rules do you have in your life that you would like to pass on?
It's okay to say no. Sometimes for our mental health or our mental wellness or whatever, you don't want to do something, you can say no. It's okay to say no to things. You don't have to do everything. That is, now there's always, like, unfortunately, golf is my least favorite thing in the world, but I have to do it for my job. You can't say no to everything, but it's okay to say no to things and just be kind to people. I know it's something that everybody says, but it's so true. You don't know what Dan's dealing with at home, right? You don't know what happened to Denise on the weekend. Just be kind to people and check in with people. If you haven't heard from somebody for a while, call them. The phone works both ways. Those are my Those are my kind of big ones.
Well, those are right from your heart. I can see it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any message you'd like to give to the audience?
I grew up in a small town, right? Everybody knows everybody. Like your parents knew what you did before you got home. Um, and when I lived in this small town, I was also a volunteer firefighter and EMR, which was like some of the best 11 years of things that I ever did. It was also some of the worst. And it was some of the worst because you never knew when that pager went off what you were walking into for sure. So a few years ago, when I was much younger then, without as much life experience and knowledge about things, so one of the girls on my team one day had come and asked me for a ride to a treatment center. She had made the arrangements. She had a day. It was, a couple weeks in the future. And of course, being me, I said yes, not a problem. Her family intervened. They did not think that she had a problem that she needed to go to a treatment facility for. A few days later, my pager went off and she had OD'd and we had to pull her mom off of her body. I think that mental health is important because, and talking about it, nobody should go through that. No mother should ever find their child like that. And no human should ever feel so alone that they think that is the best option. So, hang that job site poster up, keep talking about it, keep fighting for everyone in that regards.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a horrible story, but it needs to be.
I know told. It is super shitty, but it happens, right? Like, and 15 years ago, we didn't talk about it the same.
No.
And
well, there's a lot more finger pointing, right? There's a lot more. It's their fault. And I think that with the opioid epidemic that happened through the first part of 2000, that as a guy that, I watched it, and I was once prescribed 50 10 milligram tablets of Oxycontin for a leg that didn't hurt, if you can imagine. That's what was happening. And then you wonder how these guys are getting addicted. I think that there was a lot more blame on the people that are struggling, and there's a lot less humanity involved. And hopefully with this interview, we get a little more humanity out there. And I just really appreciate it. And I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for coming out to Saskatchewan in the first place. It was great. And thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
I hope we can do it again, and definitely both. It's all good. I like the travel, and this is a great conversation to have. So I look forward to seeing you and how you do.
I have a hit list ready for you.
Good. I'm ready. Awesome. All right. Wonderful, Denise.
Yeah. Thank you.
Looking forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Have a good day, Dan.